let me begin by introducing our presenter today. This is Wilma Robertson, and she's going to be presenting on building initiatives on ArcGIS Hub. A lot of you may not have ever heard of ArcGIS Hub. Well, I guess it's high time that we learn about Hub. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Wilma and go ahead and take it away.
All right. Well, thank you, Keith. So yes, let's talk about building some initiatives on Hub. So to start off, it's probably good to talk a little bit about what it is. And so there's different things that you can do with it. If you are familiar with Portal, you may be familiar with the concept of sites, which is essentially the same thing for Portal as Hub is for ArcGIS Online. So you can create really beautiful websites. And as you will see, you can start dragging in different elements and set colors and add pictures. And you have a lot of control about how you're putting together a really nice website. Also really nice is that you can embed surveys right in there. Open data sites. So you may have seen a number of them. For example, the one for the state, which actually connects to open data sites at different state agencies, are all built with ArcGIS Hub, or if it's a portal-based site. And really the key words that Esri likes to use with Hub is initiatives. So the whole concept is building an initiative, for example, an initiative around like poverty, or I built one for COVID vaccinations. And so it's bringing together people, bringing together community. People can have input, for example, through those surveys, and having all those connections there. So that's sort of the main thought behind ArcGIS Hub. So as we go through this presentation, you will see a number of examples of those three different things that you can do with ArcGIS Hub. So first, starting out, how do you get there? So if you have an ArcGIS Online account, you actually can set up a Hub site. It's included with your license. So when you go to your main homepage for your ArcGIS Online organization, you can find those waffles there. I'm not sure if they're actually called waffles, but you would go there. It will give you access to a whole bunch of different apps, and one of those apps would be Hub. So you just click on that and you will be in. So once you're in there, you have the choice to start with like a template. So if you already have like an initiative that you're interested in, you don't have to start from scratch, but you can start with an actual template, or one of the templates is actually an empty template. So you start just with an empty canvas. And so we'll look at both. But first, there's, you can tell 38 templates out there. You can put in search terms. So I put in nature, and a couple of specific ones pop up. And we'll take a look at this tree management one a little bit closer. So I have recorded a little video on how to get that started up. And so Keith and I tested this earlier. So you should be hearing me talk, but through the video. So if it's quiet, let me know. It's not supposed to be.
Okay, let's start up a new initiative with a template and see what that looks like. New initiative, give it a name. Let's go to browse templates, and let's look again for a nature themed. And let's see what this tree management initiative is all about. Let's go ahead and save and publish this so we can look at the content. Click on the Save button. And then here we can actually preview our draft before we can officially publish it. And of course, in this case, before we share it with the public.
Okay, so let's go to the next slide. And so as you go through that page and you go through this process, I took some screenshots to sort of highlight some of the elements that you can put in there. So in this case, you can build like a really nice banner. You can put in a menu, a header with links to your website or other pages in your Hub site. It's It can be one page, it can be a collection of pages. You can put in statistics. It allows you to put in events. And we'll get to that really soon, the difference between just the free hub capabilities included with your license versus the hub premium, which costs money. Other things that are included is, you know, text, all that, but it's very nice that you can also include surveys. So if you want to become a tree steward and you click on apply, it automatically opens up a Survey 123 form. And as a matter of fact, you don't have to even go to the Survey 123 website or Survey 123 Connect application to build a survey. You can build it like right inside the hub environment. So for the open data site, let me just show you as an example our main website. So this is gis.idaho.gov. And when you go to GIS data, essentially what you see there is an open data site that is then connected to all the other open data sites in the state. So if you click on any of those links, for example, the Idaho Historical Society, then you see their open data site. On the previous page, if you go down to the bottom, there are like category cards where you can search for a specific category, like for example, transportation or hunting. And you can put in like keywords and actually look through data at the same time collectively of all those different state agencies. So the difference between Hub and Hub Premium. So as I mentioned, the Hub is included with your ArcGIS Online license. So I'm guessing most of you will have a license like that. So you can just start it and try it out right away. And I didn't want to go to the next one yet. So as we've seen, the Hub allows you to create those open data sites that I was just showing. You have access to a lot of the elements that we've looked at. For example, the charts, stats, maps. You can embed applications, and it comes with a set of basic templates. If you get the Hub Premium, the cost is $10,000 per year, and it comes with like 100 community licenses. Now, those licenses are like ArcGIS Online Creator licenses, except that they only would work in a Hub Premium environment. Additional licenses, and again, creator licenses, are just $1 a piece, although you have to buy them in packs of like 1,000. So this is where maybe some of you are thinking like, hey, why am I spending $500 on a creator license when I can get them for $1? So that goes to the intent of those licenses. They are intended for initiatives and especially community engagement. So they're really not intended to be a replacement for your 500 creator licenses. In Hub Premium, you get more templates. You can actually have those calendars in there, which is not something that you could get with the free Hub. And then for each one of your Hub sites, you can track its performance with like different dashboards just to kind of see how many people are engaging and what's going on with those sites. But I would say the community licenses and the ability to buy more licenses is really why here at the state agency I work, Information Technology Services, we have Hub Premium. Last year, the Department of Health and Welfare generously used some of their grant funding to help set up an initiative around COVID vaccinations. So let's just set up a site and just kind of look at how we can put together the header.
All right, now that our page is created, let's start by setting up the header. Now that our page is created, let's start by setting up our header. So we can choose the size, how big it should be. We can make the layout wide or have it contained. Let's change the name to Tech Talk Demo. We can upload an image to sort of be part of this. So let's browse for an image. For the alignment, we can move that around. So let me do it this way so the picture appears a little bit bigger. You'll have the opportunity to add some links here. So for example, if you have multiple pages in your Hub site, this would be a good spot to actually add links to the other pages in your Hub site. In this case, let's just add to an outside link. So for example, to our Idaho Geospatial office. You can choose to have this link open up in a new tab, or basically it can close down the current website and just open it up in the current tab. All right. So you can see that the link has been added right here. If you do have a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube page, you can add those in here so people can go directly to your sites, and you can just put the URL for your sites right there.
Okay, so this is a good time to start talking about all the different elements or cards that are available for you to sort of drag in to your hub site, and that you can incorporate into the whole, experience of the hub site. So the rows are very handy for organizing your content. So a row is basically a container where you can add in like other elements. Most of them are pretty straightforward, like an application, an image. Spacer cards are great because it really helps you kind of move and shift your content around so it looks cleaner in the way that you like. We've already talked about surveys. The category cards are those, if you have an open data site, those would be the main categories, like, for example, transportation or boundaries, things like that. You can add in contact information. Obviously, this being an S3 product, you can add in a map, charts. You can iframe in like different websites. Does not always work, kind of depends on the permissions of the website that you're trying to iframe. Statistics, I'll show you in a little bit how a gallery works. It's kind of nice because it shows you different cards for different apps that you may want to highlight and then have people click on and actually go there. For the people, you can highlight one or more team members. For the follow initiative, it will basically give you notifications when there's changes being made. The sign up is you can basically, people can sign up and they can grab one of those community licenses. I am personally like not super comfortable with that yet because if you are working for a state agency and you would like to get on our hub, I would want to make sure I know who's sort of taking up those licenses and who's out there and how the username is structured, because otherwise I'm going to end up with like a whole bunch of users that I don't know who they are and if they should be there, and it's hard to clean that up. Events are something, like I said, that is part of the hub premium, and then you can just add, a search function. You can add in videos. You can link directly, for example, to your YouTube channel, and then of course social media. So let's just add a couple of those elements in here and see how that works.
Okay, so you're starting out with an empty row already there. To bring in more elements, let's just put in another row and you just click and drag wherever you want them. You have a chance to edit the complete row, and here are your tools on the right hand side. So for example, you can set your background color and your text color. And then if you go in, you can go ahead and just drag content in here. So for example, you can drag in some text and it will show up. Next, let's bring in a survey card. So let's just bring in a survey and see what that looks like. Next, let's bring in a gallery. All right, and here we'll just put in data manually. I'll go down and select content. I am interested in adding dashboards only. So I'll just look in my content, and you can see that those all pop up. We do have some options for appearance. You can tell that it's a good idea to put in thumbnails because they will show up here. As far as appearance, we can change the size of the headers. We can use icons, or we can actually use the thumbnails, change the corners, and I always like a drop shadow right there. You can put in spacer cards. So let me just put a spacer card in on the side. until the cards are the size that you like. Let's bring in a statistic. All right, and I'll just put it up on the side here. So let's find an item because we need to have some data from which we can calculate a statistic. So we'll look at the COVID vaccinations in Idaho and save it. So then I can choose from different fields, for example, the booster shots. Let me just say that it's the maximum because the way that this is done is that every day it will give the latest number, and of course that number is going up every day. For the source, or I can keep it in there, or I can take it out. So I'm going to take out the source link, and instead of the trailing text, I can just put in there that this is data from the Department of Health and Welfare website. And then for the statistics title, I would need to put in boosters to date. And so I can build out my site in this way.
Okay. So that was really a sort of a speeding through the process here, and really the point is to kind of give you some idea about how this is built. It's like click and drag those elements and then put them in there. I did want to highlight a couple of other things on the hub site. So every initiative, and this is definitely true. Well, every initiative would have with it, for example, like a content library, like data that is associated with a hub site. For the Hub Premium, we also have teams, and teams can contain those community hub licenses, or it can also contain just people that have an ArcGIS online account. So, but they would have to be in your organization. So I did set up an initiative that had people like inside and outside my organization. So the ones inside could use their regular ArcGIS online account, and the people outside, like Keith, I had to set up one of those special community license for, but then they can be part of the team. There are multiple teams usually set up with it. There's the core team, so those are the people with the most privileges that can see the most, that can have editing capabilities if you set it up like that. And then you have a group of followers, which are probably the people in the community or people that are just viewing your data. And as soon as you set up a site, and it goes through the process of creating one, it actually creates, in the background, it creates different teams. So when I click on team, like on the ArcGIS Hub site, it creates this core team automatically. But then if I go back to my regular ArcGIS online organization and I look at my groups and I see what's been recently created, you can actually see that all those different teams, for example, the core team here is actually a group that is set up in your ArcGIS online account. In your hub is basically just pointing at it and looking at it. So this is set up automatically, and you do not want to touch those. Once you set up your site, just keep the name, keep the settings, just keep it the way it is. Then the other thing that I wanted to point out is for this blank site demo content, this group that I was just showing you here, that is the data that is associated with it. So now we're sort of moving away from the teams and actually looking at the content library. Okay, so I did put in some items in this content group, and I did that on the ArcGIS online organizational site, just your regular page, and not the hub sort of side of things. So I put some items in it right there, and then I wanted to see how that behaves on the hub site. So back on the hub site, when I go to the content library, I can see that the items that I put in this group on ArcGIS Online actually now shows up for this particular hub site. Now the beauty is that I can link to the open data from other agencies. So for example, my main site, people can look and search for data from Transportation Department, from Water Resources, from DEQ. And I can do that because they have enabled some of their groups to be open data. So in essence, what they have done, they said, you know, this data is our authoritative, high quality, ready for the public data. We'll put it in this group, and then we can enable that so other people that want to set up like hub sites with open data can link to it and basically have people search our data. So the way that you configure a group on your own organizational account is that you go to your group, and I set up a new group here called Hub Demo just to demonstrate this. When you're setting it up or later on, you go into the settings, and at the very bottom, there's a setting if you want to designate this group as open data. So in this case, I did that. So what that means is that now other organizations can link to my group here and basically show my data on their open data site. So how do I add content that is not my own to Hub? I mean, how did I set up the website here for the open data site that basically puts together data from different agencies? And so now back on the Hub site, I went to the content library, and earlier we looked and it only had those couple of items that I shared within the group that was automatically set up by Hub when I first created the site. But here I can go ahead and click on the ellipses in the top right. There I can manage groups. So this is all from the content library. Then back on the left, I can add in groups. Let's see here. I want to minimize that. Add in groups, and then I can do a search. And so, for example, I can look at my organization, but I can also look worldwide. And this is where I can find groups that Water Resources has made available as open data, Transportation has made available as open data, different agencies have made available as open data. And so then I can just bring them into my open data site. And by using those category cards, people can now search across many different agencies. So what that means, if you work for a public agency, and you do have an ArcGIS organizational account, and you do have data that other people would be interested in, then I have, two suggestions. First off, work with Bruce Godfrey at Inside Idaho, so your data can be made viewable there and searchable there. And definitely set up one of those open data groups so that other people, if they want to, can add it to their own collections. All right, and with that, if you have any questions, please email me or ask me now. And if you ever wondered what my happy place is, that would be in this kayak right here.